Orly K.G, the host of Momz of Comedy, has a new show coming up at Zanies in Rosemont. She just appeared on Kelly Clarkson's talk show, got advice from Jay Leno, and has only been in the stand-up game for about a year. Orly, it is so good to see you.
It's so nice to see you. We
It's
go way back, Rudy. I
we
am just like, this is great.
this is so wonderful. I mean, you and I have had a gazillion conversations. You always crack me up. I always look forward to seeing you in person. But what was that moment for you, either saying that, like, I want to do this and go into comedy, or was there a particular thing that you saw or a particular moment in your life?
I've always loved comedy and I love making people laugh. And I actually didn't have any idea I wanted to do this. We had a double date with a friend of my husband's and we went to the Lincoln Lodge. And I went to the washroom and they had this sheet that said, do you want to take stand-up comedy classes? And I'm like, yeah, this is for me. Like, it was like that moment. And I remember walking to the class. First of all, as a woman my age, as a mom, I get very self-conscious going into places like Logan Square because I dress like a narc. And so I'm like, what am I going to wear to Logan Square that I'm going to fit in with all these hipster kids? So it took me like 2 hours to get ready. But I showed up and I started doing the class and I fell in love with it. Especially after the pandemic when everyone was just so stressed and we were just making each other laugh and we're all from different perspectives. And I'm like, this is it. This is what I love. I love it.
Let's go back to finding that outfit. What did you end up wearing, and how did you end up coming to the outfit that you got to class?
So we're all black. So I'm like, okay, at least I can go like old goth kid and really cute little like white gym shoes and like a jean shirt. So I was like, okay, I kind of blend. And then you can't see a lot of my wrinkles because we were still wearing masks at the time. So
Let's go back to the
I
mask.
was like,
Me too. I didn't have
so
to
like, I'm
shave.
okay.
Depending on where I went, like there's a lot of bonuses to wearing the mask.
Right, right. I have to say though, my parents spent a lot of money on my teeth for orthodontia work. So it was kind of nice to like take it off and be like, look, I don't look like a Halloween character. So yeah.
But as far as people taking up a hobby, because people can either, I'm going to start bike riding, I'm going to collect butterflies, I'm going to be doing, a certain, something for myself that nobody knows about, but you pick something and it ended up like skyrocketing. Tell me a little bit about kind of that moment of like, I'm going to do this hobby versus like, oh my goodness, this is what it's become.
So I've owned my own business. I own a PR and marketing firm for this will be my 12th year. So I do marketing and PR on behalf of other clients all the time. So it's innate for me to be like, okay, how do I sell this? And the other thing is the more I started doing comedy, the less I saw people like me in the audience. And I'm like, okay, I know they like comedy or else Netflix would have been dead by now because it's all moms and dads stuff watching that. And so I was like, well, what if I do something where I bring all the moms together and the dads together and we create parent events? And I just started calling PTAs and I started calling nonprofits. And that's what it was. It was just a matter of combining these old skills that I have in marketing and PR and bringing it to comedy. I'm still working on the funny. I've only been doing it a year. I can sell it. And then I go up there and I'm like, okay, here are my 10 minutes. And that's all I got. I don't have an hour. I haven't worked my way up to an hour yet.
So you were just
does that answer your question?
That's okay. We'll come back to it at some point. You were just on Kelly Clarkson's show, which was, an amazing opportunity for you and the team. And you got to chat with Jay Leno, who, I remember when he would do his monologues, it was, set up, punchline, laugh, set up, punchline, laugh. What did you learn from him as far as maybe something that you were doing that you're doing right, or something that you're like, oh, thank you, Jay Leno?
So it was interesting. He's been in the business a really long time. So I am so like still wet behind the ears in my comedy career. So I was asking him about things that he had done 50 years ago. And he was just like, oh, what did I do back then? So that was an interesting perspective. I think anytime you're a comic or an actor or a singer and you talk to somebody who has that much experience, you have to take everything they say kind of with a grain of salt because they're coming at it from this level that you don't even understand yet.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see how at ease he was with jokes. It was really just great to sit down with a legend like that. I mean, here you are sitting next to somebody who has met everybody, Carson and Dangerfield and everybody. And to, I don't know, it was, I actually have the whole thing voice recorded and I haven't like sat down to listen to all of it yet because I'm just like, okay, am I ready to take it all in? So yeah.
And sometimes, different parts will hit you differently, so listening to it, this week versus in January versus next summer, different parts are going to hit you at that time.
Right. And after you bomb one night at a club and after one night that you do really well at a club, you'll totally hear it different. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about choosing parenthood as your topic and kind of the route that you're going. When you went into the first class, were you like, this is what I want to do? Or was it just the stories that were naturally coming up of what you thought was funny that you're like, I've got something here?
Yeah, it's really interesting that you asked that, Rudy, because I didn't want to talk about parenthood and I didn't want to talk about being married for 20 years because these were kids in the class. And I'm like, are they even going to relate to this? And I avoided it for a really long time. And I finally did a joke and talked about it. And they're like, that's funny. And I'm like, really, you guys want to hear about a happy marriage and a mom with two teenagers? And they're like, yeah, because we had a mom and we eventually want to be moms or dads. And so I needed the younger people to tell me to really follow that because I was so nervous because young comics today are, God love them, but they're really like, some of them are really edgy and they talk a lot about sex and things like that. I'm like, I don't do that. So but I know there's something there and I know that we can all see each other's funny. I just needed to be able to be confident to be like, yeah, I'm a 40-year-old mom, 40-something-year-old mom who's married, but this is my perspective.
As far as some of the audience members, what was it like maybe that very first gig of getting to, those first couple of minutes of doing your show and seeing that you were connecting with audiences?
So I will say the first show I ever did was a class show. So it was our graduation show. So everybody in the audience wanted us to succeed. But I went to a mic the night before and did the same set and totally bombed. It was like all these kids were just like staring at me and I'm like, oh my God, tomorrow's going to be awful. And then a friend of mine who I went with, Ruben, he's like, tomorrow everyone wants us to succeed. It's going to be great. But I was really honored because my teacher, who's, you should totally follow him, he's super funny. His name is Chris Higgins. He said he likes his bookends. He likes to start the show strong and he likes to end it strong. And I was the first one. And I was like, okay, I've got something. Like, I'm like, what an honor to be able to go first. And it was great. And to get those laughs and to feel it that it felt real. Like it was real laughter. You can tell pity laughs, right? We all can. And I loved it. It was just, they call it the bug. Like once you get that itch and that bug and you get that laugh, you just want to make people laugh more.
Parent situation, because obviously you go through things as parents that you're like, this can't be real, or this can't be my life, or oh my goodness, there's no help. What am I supposed to do? I mean, do the stories come to you and are your kids like, wait, what stories are you sharing? What's going on? Is that kind of, tell me a little bit about your preparing your material.
I told my kids the second I started doing stand-up, I said, I will not talk about you guys. I will not say your name on stage. I will not do any story about you without your approval. And same thing with my husband. I won't talk about us having sex or anything like that without your approval. Eventually the kids have been like, yeah, that is funny. You should totally do that on stage. And my husband too was like, that's super funny. You should do that on stage. So it's been a process. I will say as far as parenthood, because I have teenagers now. When your kids are little and they say funny things, you're like, this is great. And then they do something stupid because they have to. That's how we learn. We fail, we do something stupid. All of us have been there. The kids get complicated and they get funnier and they don't even know they're funny. Like, get a notebook because you're going to have so much content forever. Like the stuff these kids say now, I'm like, can I do that? Because that's crazy. How is this my life? And you have to laugh about it because we're all trying to balance it. We're all trying to figure out, did I do the right thing? And if you don't laugh about it, you're just going to cry. You're just going to totally stress yourself out. So if we can just go, you know what, we're all in the same boat. All of our kids might be different. They all may be different learners and different genders or non-identified and all of that. But we can all laugh at the fact that we're just trying to get it done and we're doing the best we can.
Let's talk a little bit about the PTA meetings and some of the nonprofit and some of the events that you and the team perform at, because obviously sometimes you're looking for a night out and you go get something distracting, or you go see a science fiction movie or a comedy, but nothing that really relates to your life. What's it like to see the people in the audience saying like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I came out tonight because I can totally relate to this, or thank you for speaking of like my truth, or what's actually going on in my life.
Yeah, so what I did was I started not seeing people like me in the audience when I was going to do stand up. And so I approached a friend of mine who's got a little one and I said, would your PTA be interested in like a mom's event? You could make it a fundraiser, you can make it just a community gathering. And they said, yeah. And so we did our first one. And I knew the second we all took the stage that this was going to work, because these moms sat down, had a glass of wine. Some of them didn't drink, but they just sat down and relaxed for the first time, probably that week. And they didn't think about their kids and whatever. And they just laughed and they just had a good time and they related to the women on stage. And I knew we had something, because afterwards, one woman came up to me. She goes, "This was the best PTA event I've ever been to in my life." I'm like, okay, because there's so much pressure at PTAs. There's like, well, what's little Johnny doing? And blah, blah, blah about this teacher. And are you volunteering? And are you baking? There's so moms even put even more pressure on each other, that if you can just sit, you don't have to talk to each other, but you can laugh and you can relate. It's
a win-win.
It's great. It is a total win-win.
And then final thing here, as far as Zanies, coming up November 2nd here in Zanies in Rosemont, how are you preparing for the gig? Tell us a little bit about maybe someone who hasn't heard of the comedy group and wants to go check them out. And, a little bit about, getting ready for this particular show.
So we were on the Kelly Clarkson show in September, and the Kelly Clarkson show said, "Hey, do you have any gigs coming up?" And I said, no. Because summer is really dead for mom season. It's just like we're focusing on camp and kids and getting ready for school. And so they had called me so early in September, we had nothing planned yet for fall. So I called up Zanies and I said, "So I'm going to be on the Kelly Clarkson show." And they're like, "Yeah, when can you be on our stage?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay. That's all I have to say. It's Kelly Clarkson."
Just like Steve Carell.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Like, oh, okay. That's all I have to do. Okay. So we are almost sold out. So please, if you're going to come on November 2nd, please get your tickets, because it's crazy. How would I prepare for it? I have a lot of content. So it's just a matter of figuring out what's going to go in the order. I have this new bit that I'm working on about how I'm relating to all the Halloween decorations in my age. And so I want to throw that one out. But what I really love is the women that are on this. So we have Leah Berman, who's super hilarious. She's been doing comedy for like 13 years. We have Colleen Brennan, who's been doing it for over a decade. Lindsay Porter has been doing it 7 years. We have Susie An, who's great. She's also a mom of teenagers. And we also have Patty Vasquez, who's going to be our headliner, who's been doing it for 20 years around Chicago. So she's got 2 kids. And there's something for everyone. I'm looking actually for more diverse, funny moms. And so if anybody wants to go to our website, and if you're a mom and you're a comic, please go on our website, which is chicagocomedyworks.com, and fill out the sheet, because I need mamas. I want you funny mamas. I want to pay you for your funny.
Oh my God. Orly, you're the best. I can't wait to see you in person. Let's make a time to hang out very, very soon.
Yeah, and hopefully my hair will look way better. I don't know what it's doing today, so everybody please forgive me. I do not have Pantene hair all the time. So yeah, this is what you get today.
It's your Logan Square. That's what's coming out. It's your Logan Square.
I know. Oh my God, maybe Logan Square in 1962. Like, I'm like, what is this? I actually have a costume party tonight, and so I'm putting a wig on. So I'm like, I don't have to do anything with my hair. And then I looked at the clock. I'm like, I have a Zoom call. Oh, well, this is what we're going to get today.
Awesome. Well, as you heard her say, limited amount of tickets still available. Wednesday, November 2nd, Zanies in Rosemont. Rosemont.zanies.com is where you go ahead and get those tickets. And best of luck, and can't wait to see you on the 2nd.
Oh my gosh, are you coming?
I'm coming.
We're going to be so happy to have you. All right.